Sent from Disneyland, history in our hand. So much to say about yesterday and the decades we have spanned. Postcards from the park, this journey will embark. See what has changed and what remains on Sent from Disneyland. Sent from Disneyland.
Welcome to the Sent from Disneyland podcast.
Here age relives fond memories of the past.
If it's your first time joining us, welcome. On this podcast, we'll take a journey into the past and explore Disneyland, Disneyland history, and more, with mementos, snapshots, souvenirs, and postcards sent from Disneyland, from 1955 to the present. Let's start by thanking my patrons from patreon.com. You can join in at any level to support the show and receive snail mail from my trips to Disneyland and from my desk, plus some sneak peeks and bonus content. Special thanks to Random Olive, the first patron to this podcast, and to the rest of the e-ticket patrons, Tania, Eric Daniels, Monica Seitz Vega, Scott Cagle, Russ Romano, Michael and Christina Cross, Angela Reynolds, Greg Gorley, and Sheila Harry. C-ticket patrons Serious Inquiries Only, Debbie Weinstein, Jennifer Schneep, Grace Coate, and Ben and Noel Bruning, B-ticket patron Joshua Bell, and to the A-ticket patrons Elise Sharp, Zealot Infinity, Alexis Robles, Angel DeBlock, Daps Magic, and the Beyond the Railroad podcast. I am your host, your post-host Clocky, and today we have 2 postcards sent from Disneyland. The front of our first postcard has the Mark Twain, leaving the dock on a journey around the rivers of America. You can see the Matterhorn at the back, as well as a golden horseshoe peeking through some trees. On the back it reads, Mark Twain. The stern-wheeler Mark Twain steams quietly out of Frontierland, bound for an exciting adventure down the rivers of America. It's postmarked June 17, 1971, with an Anaheim cancel, and an 8-cent Eisenhower postage stamp, Scott number 1394. I assume they visit the park on Wednesday, June 16, 1971, when park hours were from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. The weather was a high of 77 and a low of 57. It's addressed to Mrs. Lucille Smith of Santa Monica, California. It reads, Dear Miss Smith, spent Wednesday in Disneyland. Lovely to be with Barbara and grandchildren. Diane came too. Hope you're feeling better. You are much of my thoughts. Hope to see you tomorrow. Most affectionately, Ann Cheeseman. While organizing my office, I found a Tru-Vue film card. This week, let's take a look at the Tru-Vue Company and this Frontierland stereoscopic card. Stereoscopes have been around since the 1850s. The concept was to take 2 separate images of the same scene, one as you would see from your right eye, and the second as you'd see from your left eye. You would place the 2 images on one card, about 7 inches long by 3 inches tall, and view it through 2 lenses that would magnify these images, plus a divider to make sure that each eye is focusing on the proper image. This would cause the images to have a 3-dimensional look. These images would be viewed one at a time, changing out the card every time you wanted to see the next image. Some multiple view stereoscopes were made, using a crank or a turn knob to flip through a stack of images. These were large and not quite made for home use. In the 1930s, a company called Tru-Vue manufactured a stereoscope using a film strip to make it easier to scroll through the images. This did require stronger magnification, as the film was 35mm rolls, but it did make the viewer compact. The next version of the Tru-Vue used smaller images, stronger magnification, and placed the images on a film card. The 3.5-inch by 5.5-inch card could hold 7 pairs of half-inch squared images. The center of the card would be filled with the card's index information and description of what was shown on the images. Traditionally, stereoscopes would be landmarks, national parks, world fairs, and world travel destinations. In 1950, Tru-Vue obtained a licensing agreement with Disney to make film strips of Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Snow White, and other Disney stories and characters. In 1951, Tru-Vue moved its operation from Rock Island, Illinois to Beaverton, Oregon, and was purchased by Sawyers Inc., who also produced Viewmasters. The contract with Disney would continue in the mid-50s, and film strips of Disneyland's lands were produced. Add some flair to your mail by checking out stamps at Enfield Post. You can explore different stamp options on our Etsy site, grab some great deals by following EP Sunday Sales on Instagram, or create something special and have her design a stamp array for your invitation or celebration. You can head over to EnfieldPost.com and explore all the different vintage postage stamps you can use on your next card or letter. That's ENFIELDPOST on Instagram and EnfieldPost.com for your wedding and vintage postage needs. Enfield Post is the official postage stamp sponsor of the Sent from Disneyland podcast. The front of our next postcard has a CK holiday pulling into Frontierland Station. You can see the water tower and the top of the train station in its original location on the inside of the track from the berm. On the back it reads, "Passenger train at Frontierland Water Tower. The Santa Fe and Disneyland passenger train makes a stop for water in Frontierland as she carries passengers on a scenic journey around the rivers of America." It's postmarked May 18th, 1959, with a Long Beach cancel and a 3-cent purple Liberty postage stamp, Scott number 1035. I assume they visited the park on Saturday, May 16th, 1959, when park hours were from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. The weather was a high of 76 and a low of 55. Park attendance that day was 15,538. It's addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Kenneth Kimball and family of San Antonio, Texas. It reads, Monday, a.m. We arrived at Disneyland Saturday morning, having a wonderful time, so nice and cool. We are at Long Beach now. Don't know whether we will get on to San Francisco. We will see you in a few weeks. M.L. says, tell Kathy hello. Love, the Family King. The Tru-Vue card I have in my collection is of Frontierland. The index marking at the top says, Disneyland Park, D9, Frontierland. Under it is a classic Frontierland logo with the 2 hunting rifles and the word Frontierland written in a log font. In the center it reads, Step into the world of our nation's colorful past, entering the log fort and strolling along the boardwalk past Indians and frontiersmen, past the blacksmiths and the harness makers, to the station where the stagecoach unloads passengers for the small-scale Santa Fe steam locomotive, or board a paddle wheeler for a river cruise. The first image is of the Frontierland entrance with guests walking over the bridge and past the fort-style gates. The second image depicts Native Americans chanting and dancing near a drum. The third has 4 horses pulling a stagecoach in nature's wonderland. The fourth image is of the Mark Twain making its way around the rivers of America and past the Golden Horseshoe. This is an original image from 1955, as you can see the old New Orleans street before it became New Orleans Square. The fifth image, we go back to nature's wonderland and to one of the Conestoga or covered wagons, also being pulled by 4 horses, filled with guests and through one of the small streams. The sixth image is the most fascinating, as it is of the CK holiday, stopped at the Frontierland station of the Disneyland and Santa Fe Railroad. This is when the water tower and the station were on the other side of the tracks from where they are today. Also, the image was taken from outside of the tracks looking into the park. Finally, the last image is of a cast member leading a pack of pack mules around nature's wonderland. The bottom of the card has the Tru-Vue Company logo with Beaverton, Oregon as its headquarters, and the copyright of 1955 Walt Disney Productions, World Rights Reserved. I also have the 1956 Viewmaster reels of Frontierland with the Sawyer Company copyright, but we'll save that for another episode. My incoming postcard is sponsored by the Art Throwdown. Art Throwdown, or ATD, is a craft hour on Instagram, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern or 6 Pacific. Art Throwdown is a wonderful community of artists who love to share their craft, from creating sticker postcards and coloring techniques to intricate paper cutting and unique crafting. It's always a treat to watch a show and occasionally get some one-of-a-kind postcards from the group. Each host brings something a little different to each show. I'll list some of the regular hosts, or you can follow Russ Romano 2021 on Instagram. The front of my incoming postcard has a map of the Enchanted Forest in Salem, Oregon. Some of the highlights listed are the Ice Mountain bobsleds, the castle, Alice in Wonderland, the Seven Dwarfs Cottage, the Haunted House, and the Old World Village. It's postmarked March 30th, 2026, with a Portland, Oregon cancel and a Garden Delight Hummingbird Forever postage stamp, Scott number 5846. It reads, 3/27/26. Happy birthday, Clocky. You'll have to come visit soon and beat my score on Challenge of Mondos. 4,770. Your pal, Brooke. Thank you so much for the postcard, Brooke. The Enchanted Forest has been on my theme park bucket list for a while. When I would make it up to Oregon for work trips, I would pass by it going between Portland and Eugene. Unfortunately, I'd be there during the off-season, and they were not open on weekdays. Even this weekend, when I make a June trip to Oregon, I never get that far north. I grew up going to a place called Fairytale Town, and the Enchanted Forest looks like a grand version of that. No specific intellectual property, just classic tales, folklore, and kid stories brought to life. Thanks for listening to Sent from Disneyland. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and tell your friends. It would also help to leave a 5-star rating and comment on whatever podcast platform you use. If you'd like to support the show financially, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/sentfromdisneyland. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Sent from Disneyland, or my website, sentfromdisneyland.com. For questions and comments, send me a postcard addressed to Sent from Disneyland, P.O. Box 44, Hood, California, 95639. This podcast is not affiliated with Disney, the United States Postal Service, or any post office or Disney-related properties. Opinions expressed on this podcast belong to the host and guests of the Sent from Disneyland podcast. This podcast is produced and edited by Clocky McDowell, website designed by Misty McDowell, theme song was written and performed by Noah Sunday Lefkowitz. Take it away, Noah.